Welcome to the Sports Betting Preview Show, a pregame.com podcast. This is Marco D'Angelo, along with my partner in crime, Vegas Runner. We're going to break down the Thursday night game NFL action this week, VR. We've got the San Francisco 49ers playing host to the Chicago Bears. What NFL executive scheduled this for Thursday night? Please tell me why.
Yeah, well, I think coming in, they thought San Fran would be a much improved team. And, you know, Chicago always has a fan base. Unfortunately, both these teams are playing their worst ball of the season, so I think the timing couldn't be worse. But Thursday night NFL, Saturday night NFL, as you start to feel the season's progressed pretty deep when these games start coming up.
We're getting deep into the season, as we always do. Tell us the line here on this game.
All right, this game opened up San Francisco as a 3-point home favorite, but they were plus 105. So if you wanted to take plus 3 on Chicago, you had to lay minus $1.25. So obviously the sportsbooks wanted to test it out there, not stick it out at 2.5 and have them hit San Fran, but make them pay if they want to take the 3 on the flip side. But that didn't happen. The sharp money came in on San Fran, and the public money's been coming in on San Fran. And as of today, we're looking at San Fran as a 3-point favorite still, but now they're minus 115 to lay to 3. So that's a 20-cent swing. We're not going to see this one come off the number 3 before the rest of the week. Total opened up 43.5, still sitting at 43.5.
Well, as you said, both teams are coming into this game playing their worst ball of the year. San Francisco's lost 4 games in a row. The one thing you can note about the San Francisco 4-game losing streak, they lost to Atlanta, they lost to Houston, they lost to Indianapolis. Decent teams. Houston's playing well right now. The last week, the Tennessee game, that's the game I don't know how to
had a grade, yeah.
Because Tennessee,
you're gonna have to see a little more of Tennessee.
Since they put Vince Young back in the lineup, all of a sudden they're 2-0. They opened the season with all those losses. They were last year's, best record team in the NFL.
Chicago's only win during that 4-week stretch, though, was against Cleveland. So
exactly,
they could very easily be 0-4 as well.
And last week, and unfortunately, I had a play on Chicago last week. They just were dismal.
I did too. Both these teams started the season 3-1. That's what's so interesting, and they both just have been playing their worst ball, like we said. The one thing that sticks out to me the most, and I'm trying to look at the motivation factor a little bit. What team is more motivated for this game? Because looking at a number of 3, they're telling us these teams are even on a neutral field, more or less. Going in, the odds makers thought Chicago was the better team, making them the minus on the VIG. The public and sharp money is letting them know we think San Fran's the better team on a neutral field, so now they're the favorite on the VIG. But when you look at where they sit, even though the Bears are 4-4, they're 1-1 in their division, and they're 3 games back. But when you look at San Fran, they're 3-5, but they're only 2 games back in their division. More importantly, they're 3-0 in division play. Mm-hmm. So this team, although they're playing their worst ball and they're 1-3, their last 0-4, their last 4 games, there's still a lot of reason for them to show up and play. They still, look at the schedule, look at the newspaper. They know they're still in it, being back only 2 games and being the 3-0 in the division. So I think the motivation's there.
Well, definitely, both teams. And, if you want to really stretch for an angle and on this game, we're looking at everything.
Yeah.
You got Coach Singletary, going to be on the NFL Network, so not exactly a primetime game because it's a cable game and everybody doesn't get the NFL Network. Most people do, but this is a situation that he gets to coach against his former team.
True.
So a little bit of motivation there. Got to point out, even though San Francisco's lost 4 games in a row, the last 3 losses have been by 7 points or less.
They're 5-2-1 against the spread. So the market's undervalued this team, and they've come up big. 5-2 is a good number against the spread.
Now, if you look at matchups, there is one matchup in here that definitely would favor the 49ers. San Francisco with Frank Gore as running back.
True.
Running the ball. Chicago's given up 4.5 yards a rush this year. that's terrible. And if San Francisco can get the running game going, then Alex Smith's going to have a much better game. It'll make it easier for him to pass. So fundamentally, that's an edge to San Fran. But I got to say, when I saw this line come out, even though both teams are playing so poorly, the fact that the 49ers are losing, but losing competitive,
right.
And playing decent teams, with the exception of last week. Like I said, I can't gauge the Tennessee game yet. With the other 3 losses are all good teams. Chicago was so horrible last week. I was surprised it came out at 3. I really thought you'd see the 3 in the hook in this game,
right?
Because people wanting to take, the 49ers, take the 49ers. That's the only thing that gives me cause on it. And I want to see, what happens game day and see
what the number. Yeah, me too. I look back to see what number they put on this in the future, like I always do. Back in September, June, July, when they put the first NFL lines out.
Right.
And they had San Fran only -1. So now San Fran up at 3 and -115. They're saying since the start of the season, San Fran, although they have a worse record than Chicago, is playing better than what they expected them to be at this point of the season, or Chicago's playing a lot worse.
I think it's worse.
That's what I think too.
When Chicago made the trade and got Cutler,
exactly.
Everybody, Chicago for all these years was one player away. They thought that
the quarterback position,
right? They thought he was going to be the savior,
and they've never had someone in the quarterback position. But that's when I handicap this game, Marco. Too, I'll tell you the truth. I haven't found a position yet to take on this game, whether the side or the total as of right now. It is Thursday, so we do have some time. But what stuck out to me is you're absolutely right. San Fran's going to have the huge advantage running the ball. And because their defense is so good against the run, they're 4th in the NFL. So Chicago's not going to be able to run it against them at all. So this will be a game where Cutler's going to show his value. He's going to prove his value.
He's going to have to. He hasn't been doing it.
Yeah.
And last week,
he's got 14 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. That don't get it done.
It doesn't get it done. And he made a comment to a reporter last week that at this point of the season, and so far in his career, he has never felt as banged up as he has this year. And the offensive line's just not giving him any time.
Right.
So it's a tough ball game. I haven't settled in definitely if I'm going to use this game on Thursday night. Looking at the total real quick, I think this total of 43.5. My initial reaction was that they put a total up a little bit high based on recent scores. I mean, last week Chicago was in a 41-21, high scoring game and everything. But given the fact that we're going to get back to basics, both teams are on losing streaks. They're playing a team that in their minds they should be able to beat. I think they're going to try to go back to basics. San Francisco running the ball, which will chew up some clock. And really, the 49er defense has not played that bad this year.
No, they haven't.
So, this over-under 43.5, if you put the gun to my head right now, that's where I would be leaning, maybe to the under in this game. But like I said, we're taping on Wednesday, got a lot of time yet, breaking down and, get some injury reports and updates. And more importantly, like you, we'll see where some of the sharp money starts coming around town on this game.
Yeah, I think the game's going to be determined by turnovers. When you look at both these teams, turn the ball over. Alex Smith, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Cutler, like we said earlier, 14 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. So I think it's going to be what defense is able to come up with the big turnovers. That should be the difference maker in this game.
Absolutely. Well, that's the Thursday night preview on the Chicago-San Francisco game. It's on the NFL Network. We'll be back. This is our first podcast for Thursday. We'll have the rest of our podcasts and videos for you where we're going to break down 6 games this week.
Good games.
3 games in the football. We've got some college action for Saturday, 3 big games, and then the NFL, we got 3 big games. So be sure to check out all of those at pregame.tv. And this is Marco D'Angelo along with Vegas Runner. We'll be back with more videos here.